Welcome back to PositionsSpecific.com and Coaching Journey 1. As you can see, we've got a real entertaining week coming ahead. So week 22, we're going to start off with Nottingham Forest review. We've then got to squeeze in 2 games. And as you can see there, they don't come much bigger than the 2 Manchester clubs. The second part will be a session leading into our Manchester City game plan, which is around the high press. We've married that up with the game plan instead of separating it this week. We'll then move into another session that we've squeezed in between the 2 games, which is going to be dealing with a diamond, more out of possession and working from a medium press. And then that sort of ties in with the Manchester United game plan. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, we've got the timeline, which is broke up into 5 sections. So you've got the intro, the game review against Forest, the Man City section, the Man United section, and then as a little bonus, we've added a little part around our movement model. So that's our individual movement model leading into the outro. So make sure you stay tuned right through this video. We've got a lot of stuff coming. It's going to be a great week, and it's going to be good to see what feedback we get from yourselves. So looking at the Nottingham Forest game review, as you can see, we're working out of a 4-3-3, potentially moving into a 1-3-3-1-3, and that's to deal with a diamond. So let's have a look at the performance review. So starting off with the systems of play, 4-3-3 against a 4-2-3-1, so that's a positive matchup for us. So as you can see, 4v3 on our defensive line, 3v3 in midfield. Again, if they change the dynamics to a 1 and a 2, we can adapt easily enough. So we're playing within them 2 systems, and then the -1 at the top. So straight away when we started the game, we were quite happy with that because we felt that they would maybe be playing out of a diamond. Now, if people haven't been watching the journey from the start, we will work out of a 4-3-3 all the time, but then we'll train our team within other systems. So like we did last week where we're leading into the Forest game, we actually did quite a lot of work on dealing with a diamond. So working out of a 3-3-1-3. But to us, we always say to the team, it doesn't matter if they don't play that system because we can go back to what we know. Just looking at the attacking organisation, I've put down a performance problem to start with. It was a little bit similar to the game last week that we spoke about against Sheffield Wednesday. On terms of the pitch was okay, but it was lively. It was very dry. So it was one of them where you're 1 or 2 passes away from a mistake again, just because it being bobbly. It was obviously a lot better than the pitch before, but we were still sort of a little bit worried around that. Now, what Forest tended to do, especially when we're in our build-up stage or when our keeper had possession, the system they would go to, it was like a 3-4-3 with the right back jumping really high and the right forward becoming a 2, which you can see to the left-hand side. So this made it really difficult for us early doors on trying to find that free player. So 6v5, which we could say that's fine, but when it's a lively pitch, it's quite difficult to play little short, sharp 1-2s and win the back of your opponent. So again, that's why we've put it down as a performance problem. And as you can see, we're probably looking at that and going, well, it's 5v5, so why are we going long? And I agree with you, and that's something that we do work on. If a team do press like this, then we'll never shy away from playing that third line pass. Now, the issue that we had was Forest were a lot more physical than us. They had some big, strong lads. The 2 centre-halves and the full-backs were very strong. We did have a couple of younger lads playing as well, so it was really difficult for us to play that third line pass and win the duel, especially from a dead ball situation. So early in the game, we found it quite difficult to really break them lines and get into that attacking third. So what we did is we asked our left back to drop in as a 3 to build, keep the 2 wherever he wants to go, and bump on the 4. Keep the 7-11 wide. Now, what we wanted to do is we wanted to see what their fullback would do. So whether they've been working on it all week to just latch onto our fullback, which a lot of teams do. Now, we want to ask the question, what if he drops in? Is he going to come all the way? Now, if he comes all the way, it leaves a 2v2. That way, then, we've got a better chance of clipping it long. And if we don't win the first, we can maybe win the second. If he doesn't come, it gives us that 3v2 to get control of them 2 forwards. So that's why we went with this system, and it helped us massively. The fullback didn't come all the way, so he was caught half and half, and it gave us an opportunity to find that free player and have that +2 against the 2 forwards. Once we broke the line and found the free player, we asked our number 10, who can play the 9 and the 10, to get up against their back line and go 4v4. And then what we've got is we've got 4 options to play direct once we found that free player. So as you can see, there was a similar sort of pattern to the Sheffield Wednesday game, but just with a slightly different tweak to what we're going for. Now, what we found then is the right back then started to stay deeper. The right forward started to go back into his traditional position, and then our 2 centre-backs were then in control of their centre-forward. So we ended up going back into like a 4-3-3. So it was a good little change, especially in the second half where we really started to put a lot of pressure under their back line. Looking at the defensive organisation, again, we had a performance problem at the start. The right back was pushed right on from a dead ball situation. And the 2 centre-backs and the keeper were quite good at manipulating our 9. So moving them and using that +2. The midfielders stayed out of it, sometimes drifted into a wide position, but that doesn't matter to us because we know that our players found the mark. And the wide forward, the right forward, would come inside. So our fullback got caught in between a couple of times. And there's a couple of things that you need to do when you come up against this scenario. So the first thing was we asked our 9 to force it to their right centre-half and then stop the ball to the keeper. And then we asked our number 7 to be aggressive and leave their left back and step on. So we really keep them down this side. Now, as you can see, we're in an organised state there, down that side. So even if they go long, you know, we should be winning first and seconds. We also mentioned to the keeper, it's really important that you come ball side and make sure that you're distanced to cover our defensive line. The 9 must make sure that they don't step in and switch to play. But again, that's one of the hardest passes in football. So we were quite happy to leave that there for them. The second way of dealing with it was to be a lot braver and push our 11 right on and then get our defensive line to divide and our number 3 to be brave and play in between. And these were the 2 little tweaks that we did moving into the second half, which then helped us to win the ball back high up the pitch. And then moving into that our 4 onto their defensive line was causing a lot of problems. So overall, really happy with that. These stats were very different in the first 25, 30 minutes. What we did is we had a real dominant second half, which changed the stats. I probably should have put the first half and second half and compared them to each other, which I could do. If that's something that you want to see in future, we can maybe add the stats to it. Like I've said before, we're not using these as much now because we're doing some of the stuff for the first team and sort of playing with that as well. But overall, as you can see with the stats here, happy with what we did. We hit all 4 targets. Like I've said to you before, as long as we get our performance levels right, that gives us a good opportunity to win the game. And we were happy, especially with the second half, and we're happy with the targets. And overall, when we came off, you know, it was a good performance and on how we adapted to them performance problems. Overall, another good game. Credit to them. You know, they caused us loads of problems early in the match, and give us some stuff to think about and just some more scenarios for the boys to run through. So looking at week 22, as you can see, it's very different to the previous weeks, and that's because of the 2-game week. So we've tied in session 1 with our game plan on Manchester City. So we did some tactical work the night before the game, and that's more focused around a man-to-man pressing strategy, which we'll run through with you. Session 2 then is leading into the Manchester United game, which was an 11v11 practice focused around dealing with a diamond in a mid-press. So looking at session 1, tactical work, high pressing against Manchester City. So us as coaches put some stuff together, sent it over to the players, and sort of threw a few ideas out there and just to get a feel if the players were comfortable with going after this. Now, anybody who watches Manchester City, we know they want to build from the back. They predominantly want to play a short game. Now, I know that's slightly different with the first team, that they can play the longer one. They can do it this age group as well. But what we wanted to do is cut out all short building options and be really aggressive with our defensive structure. So the game that we came up with, to the left-hand side, as you can see here, we used 2/3 of the pitch, and we went with a 10v11. The Reds' objective was to dribble across the halfway line to score or pass in any of the 3 small goals. Now, if they get across the halfway line and score, that's a bonus point. The Yellows' objective was to win the ball and score in a full-size goal. Now, all the restarts were from their goalkeeper, unless we felt that we wanted to give the Yellows a little bit of an attack and the coaches just rolled the ball in and let them go. Our strategy is a man-to-man pressing strategy to cut out all short building options. From there, we work 2 structures. So structure 1 is to jump press on the right forward and the right back. We then must slide and become a back 3, which actually leaves us in a 3v3, which we don't usually do. But we want to be really aggressive with our player. Structure 2 is jump pressing from 2 midfielders. So our highest midfielder will jump press onto their centre-back, and one of our midfielders, deepest midfielders, will jump on and the centre-back steps, again leaving us a 3v3. A couple of the performance problems is, will Man City recognise to play direct and win the first and second duels? From looking at the clips, will the fullbacks come inside and will the centre midfielders go outside? And now, obviously, watching the first team and watching clips of this age group, we know some of the pattern players and how they work. So we felt that we'd cause a lot of problems if we got this right. So the first couple of things that we worked on in the first 10 minutes, we worked on just structure 1, and we did sort of manage the Reds, and we asked them to sort of hold the structure. We let them change the dynamics of the midfield, so 1 and a 2, 2 and a 1. But everybody else was quite structured to work within the channels just to start with. So the first one is jump pressing here, and then working the link passes. So making sure that our fullback arrives at the same time as a link pass. This could be through their defensive midfielder, and it could be through the attacking midfielder. So some little link passes that they like to use. What did it look like when the fullback came inside? We went man for man. If there was to change over, the communication had to be right. But we said, primary want you to stay with your man. But if you are going to pass them on, you must communicate. So we're holding you responsible for that. And this sort of came out a little bit further on in the session when we allowed the fullbacks to use this rotation. One of the other ones is we then got the Reds to look for the 9. So open up the space from midfield and look for the 9 to paint the picture. So our midfielders always ready when they play long to turn and be aggressive. Is our centre-back really tight to their 9? Now, we know that they've got the attributes to win these personal duels against the centre-back, but we're trying to put the percentage on our side. So we're saying if they're playing a 30-yard ball into their 9, how many times can he be successful if he plays 10 passes into him? Now, it's not easy to receive a 30-yard ball with real tight pressure. So yes, we're expecting them to get 1 or 2 right, but 8 times out of 10, can we win that ball? And then not get phased if they do have a bit of brilliance. If he does spin him on one, what does it look like? And that's where our left back and our right centre back, they come in and cover the space around them. And there will be the odd time where they break through us, but we don't lose concentration and we don't worry about it too much. As long as 8 times out of 10, we're winning that ball. But to do that, we must be aggressive. We must believe in what we're doing. The second structure was to jump press on the midfielder, which you can see here. Midfielder jumps on, centre back goes in. And this was more usually when they went to like a 2 and a 1. Again, being aggressive and going man for man on our defensive line. And, you could look at this and say, well, it's a bit of a risk. But listen, we're out there to take risks. We're out there to challenge the players. We just wanted to see if we could go out there and cause a lot of problems in that first leg. So just looking at the game plan. And again, like I said, we're just going to highlight 1 or 2 bits. If you do want to see some of our full game plans, go and look back over the journey from the start, and you'll see most of the game plan put together throughout the weeks. But for this week, we're just going to pick 1 or 2 parts from what we've worked on and what we're going after. So just dropped in our pre-match warm-up versus Manchester City, because this was a request. I do apologise I haven't put the animations in, but what I needed to do was just put it into like a short slide. If you do want me to drop the videos in, I will do over the next couple of weeks, but I just wanted to try fit in 1 slide for this presentation, otherwise it would have been 50 slides long. As you can see, what we do is we set up 3 rondo boxes. The players will go out and they'll play for 5 minutes, and that'll be in a 4v1 or a 3v1, and you're looking at 1 or 2 touches. Defender only needs to get a touch of the ball to come out, and that is in an 8x8 area, so it's quite small. They then move into an activation with our S&C staff. That's 10 minutes long. From there, we'll move into a 12-minute possession game, which is a 25x15. And that middle section there, which is 5 yards, is what we call the turn zone. So whenever we're in possession, whether it's left or right, we're trying to get it into the turn zone to progress with it. That doesn't mean that you can't go direct. It just means that we've got to make sure we've got players in all 3 areas. From there, we work for 2 minutes and we rest for 1. We do that 4 times. Everybody has a go at defending. Everybody has a go in possession. And as you can see, we have a little bit of structure there. It's like a back 4, 2 to 3 midfielders and a front 3. After that, we move into some position-specific work or unit, and we do that for 5 minutes. As an example, to the right-hand side here, this could be 3 players of your attacking players working on specific movements. So a movement can be below to then go beyond, and then the number 1 player with the ball there fires it through the gate and they arrive onto the ball. Then they can work the beside to go beyond to go below. And they can work these specific movements. So the attacking players are getting used to playing feet, playing space, getting the weight right, and also getting used to receiving the ball. Add this with a little goal and a finish at the end, okay? Then they've started to hit some of the movements that they're going to go after in a game. That just gives you 1 example. We do have the defenders doing something else, and sometimes the midfielders will join in one or the other. Defenders will tend to do a little bit of ball retention, so switching the play, and some heading and some pressing and covering little exercises as well. But I will drop them into an animation at some point. I just wanted to drop this in here and give you an idea because it has been requested. Hopefully that covers the pre-match warm-up for the request. So looking at defensive organisation, playing against a 4-3-3. So these were just some of the videos that we put together for this game. So forcing Man City down one side, jump pressing with a right forward and right back. Just to show you in here. So there's your mark. Now City is set up in their traditional numbers with the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we could actually go number for number on who your mark was in this game. The only issue that you can get with doing this press, and we knew that this was a performance problem with the coaches, not so much the players, is they can play this pass so clean and he can drop and play clean that they can take the two players out. So it's really important that we get this press right and make sure that he cuts out the direct pass from the 4 to the 5, which allows our fullback to get there, allows our centre-half to get around as well. So that was something that was aware of. Midfield, stay with your mark. If fullback comes in, stay with. If the 7 drop deeps, go with them. Quite a lot of space here. But remember what our strategy was to cut out all short passing options. If they do start to go long and start to hurt us, then that's something that we need to look at and maybe adapt through the game. But this was the problem that we wanted to give them early doors. Aggressive press, cut out direct pass. Don't get beat in the 1v1. Inside shoulder. Can we get there on the link pass? This is a win or foul. So if it does beat him, you've got to foul. If they go into the 4 and go back to the keeper, the 7 jump presses, which then usually forces a long ball. So are we ready to anticipate this? This was the types of stuff that we worked on in training the night before. So we went through these scenarios. Looking at press 2. Jump press from the midfield. Something that we did really well in the training. 3 and 2 divide 11 and 9. And then again, we're looking at being aggressive in here. Now, the centre-back who stepped in has played in midfield before. So he's used to sort of playing in them areas. Now, not all the time, but he has played in there before. And again, once we've jump pressed in there, then can we regroup? Now, we knew that Man City would be clean at some of the techniques and they would take out the press. So this is a message that we put across to the players quite a lot. They will beat our press. It's what we do after that. And just make sure that we don't panic and we don't worry about it. That's a top standard. When you're playing against top teams, they will break your press. So the mindset's got to stay positive. In possession, I must say that we didn't do much work. We just felt as staff, it's something that would probably manage through the game. We had an idea of how we can build, like we do. We've played against different scenarios, but we just wanted to talk about how we'll probably adapt that within the game. So session 2 is tactical work, mid-press against Manchester United. Now, some people are probably thinking, why have we gone with the mid-press against Manchester United? So earlier on in the season, they was more of a dominant team when we played them. Now, this is different from the journey because this is a different age group. But with this age group that we're taking for this game, Man United was the better team. Now, we were unsure what they were going to play because obviously they've played in 2 or 3 formations now. But the last time that they played against each other, they played out of a diamond. So what we decided to do was work more out of a mid-press and just see what they're going to offer to start with. And now our training was going to be around a diamond because that's what they played against last time. And I've said it before, if they go into a 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, then we're happy with that because that's what we work out of all the time. So similar to the session earlier in the week, we just went straight into the tactical side of it and 11v11 to really go after the pictures that we wanted to see. So Red's objective is to get into the final third of a pass or dribble for a point. And then if they're scoring a goal, they get a bonus point. So going back with the targets that we use in the defensive organisation, we're looking to win the ball back in the top 2/3. That then keeps our mindset on trying to win that ball back high up the pitch or forcing them to go long for us to win the ball. Like I've said, the strategy is to work out of a medium press until we know what Manchester United are going to be playing. We're going to use 2 structures. So we're going to work out of a 1-3-3-1-3 system and jump press with our right forward or our left forward. The structure 2 is to jump press with our highest midfielder and our centre forward dropping in. So them 2 work in a connection if they are going to play with that deep line in midfielder in a diamond. The performance problems behind that is if Manchester United move through onto our defensive line, so as an example, the attacking midfielder coming on, what does that look like? If the two fullbacks play really high and pin our two wide forwards back, and then the rotations in midfield. So these are some of the stuff that if we got the session going, would start to work on. So as you can see here, if the centre forward can get high and lock them in down one side, the wide forward on the other side is aggressive and leaves the left back trying to be really aggressive with what we're doing. So very similar to what we do in a 4-3-3, because it's a front three against a back four. The good thing about this is anybody who watched last week's training sessions and strategy, we were planning for the same thing against Forest. So the players were quite quick at this and understood what we were going after. If they went to a 3, then our deepest midfielder would drop in as an extra centre-back. If that attacking midfielder spent more time on their line and it looked more like a 4-3-3, then that would be our adaptation. So something that we worked on within the training session. We asked the Reds to get the attacking midfielder to get up against them and then see how our defensive midfielder works. The second way of jump pressing was going from the midfield and them two just working together. At some point trying to arc the run and keep them down one side so they're not just keep switching the play and us just doing low high intensity sprints and getting tired. So we give them a little challenge that they can only switch to play twice before trying to lock in. So the game plan, which ties in what we've just talked about, just picking one or two little bits out of it. Defensive organisation. This was a little video, and again, this fell well because of some of the stuff that we'd worked on against Nottingham Forest. So it was the same messages. Now, obviously, the players are seeing the 4-3-3 stuff, but we didn't feel that we needed to put it into this presentation. So what does it look like? It looks the exact same as when we're pressing a 4-3-3, but we're just with a back three. Force them down one side, lock them in. Inside shoulder when you're in midfield, stop them from switching play. And then you've got ball side, goal side on your defensive line, and then you've got your press and cover. Attacking organisation. What does it look like if we're building in a 3 against a diamond? Again, same thing of what we spoke about last week. A couple of really simple ways of taking it out. Clean pass, central player works the outside space, you're out. If not, then we'll draw them centrally, find the free player, and then we get out. And then that's where we start to look at fixing the space, or we start to looking at the rotations at the side. Something that we had the coaches looking for. And again, if Manchester United aren't playing this system, they're playing 4-3-3, then we just revert back to everything that we go through anyway. So again, quite confident with what we're going after. The players seem to be in a good place at this moment in time. We've been able to adapt and been able to deliver the messages that we're going after. I think that's because we've got to a stage where everything's very similar, with just little subtle tweaks. The out possession stuff is very similar, and then there's certain things that we go after in possession, especially once we find that free player. Again, they don't come much bigger than playing Manchester City away and then Manchester United on the weekend. So it'd be really, really interesting to see how we deal with it emotionally as well, and like what it looks like physically. Because when you're playing against top teams like that, it can take a lot out of you, because no matter what you say, the players will just give a little bit extra because of it just being such a big game. But not only is it one big game, it's 2 big games in the week. So it's going to be really interesting to see what our emotional control looks like over the 2 games. But really excited, and we can't ask for a much bigger week. So again, just a little reminder, website content at the moment, we've still got the deal on, so it's only £5 for both books. Centre midfielder books. Not only have we had great reviews from coaches, also from players. If you haven't downloaded this yet with this great deal, make sure you get on positionspecific.com and buy the books. If you've already bought them and have left a review, make sure you get your review on there as well. If not, you can send us a direct message and give us a feedback around the books, because everything we're putting together is for you. And all we want to try to do is give you the best content that we can. So if you feel that there's things that are missing, there's things that we can improve on, then make sure that you let us know. If you do like the books and there's things that you really like and you want us to use for other positions, then also send us them messages, because we want to make sure that these are right for you. A couple of free downloads. You've got the centre forward, the poacher, which is similar to the defensive midfielders, but just slightly smaller. And then we've got the connecting coaches, which is around defensive organisation, unit work. And this was just something that we put out on social media, and we've got a few coaches to send in their sessions. If you haven't yet downloaded them, make sure you get on the website, download them. They're free of charge. If also you haven't left a review on these, make sure you leave a review. And again, just send us a message with your feedback, whether that's positive or negative. There's also blogs around the 10 systems of play. So 5 with 300 defensive line and 5 with 400 defensive line. You'll hear us talking about them quite a lot. These are only just short blogs. You could get through them quite easily. They also have a little video attached to it just to try and give you a better understanding of what we're talking about. If you haven't yet read them, get yourself on positionspecific.com and make sure that you read them in your spare time. And again, just let us know what you think. We can put things like this together whenever we get time. So if you want to see more stuff like this, then again, just let us know and we can put that to our list. So now on to a little bit of a bonus part of the presentation. Reason why we've put this in is we've been speaking as coaches, and obviously there's a lot of people who have been messaging us and sending us emails around seeing if we can do some more work around the individual model and game model, but also asking if we do some mentorships and work with clubs. Now, yes, we do. But at this moment in time, it's obviously quite busy because we've got a lot going on. We've got full-time jobs working within clubs, and then we're working closely with people that touched base with us earlier in the year. Now we're hoping to expand that, but also we do want to keep sharing content and want to share the work that we've been putting together over the last 15, 20 years. So we just wanted to give you a bit of an insight of some of the stuff that we're going to talk about over the next 6 to 8 weeks. So one of the coaches is going to focus around the scanning part of the individual model, and I'm going to focus on the movement part. We'll only sort of dip into certain parts of it because there's some stuff that we want to hold back and sort of experiment a little bit more with some of the coaches that we're working with or some of the clubs as well. But again, we will give you as much as we can. If there is any questions around this, or you do want us to look to do some work with yourselves or your club, please keep leaving them messages. We are trying to get back to everybody. It is something that obviously when the pandemic sort of calms down a little bit, it sort of helps us then be available to get out and do more work. I know we're doing a lot of stuff on Zoom, but it's so much easier when we can get into clubs and travel around and help people that way face to face. So having a look at the individual model then. Now everybody will be aware of our performance models that we have. And we have, when we're talking about the individual model, we've got 2 performance wheels, which is in and out of possession. So this is in possession. So I've just broke up the performance wheel here. So obviously you've got scan, move, receive, and release. Now, what we've got in our model is we have what we call skills, techniques, and then we have stages. So if we're talking about scanning, moving, receiving, releasing, that's something that we call a skill. And then with each skill, we've broke it down into stages 1, 2, and 3. Something that we feel that is a process that we've worked with for many years now and worked with top players. And we just feel that it's a real simple process which has helps players, even to a point where we've worked with senior players who played at a high standard, that when we break it back down to this, it still develops their game. So like I said, I'm only going to focus on the moving part today, and this is just a brief look, and we'll eventually start to go through it over the next 6 to 8 weeks, and it won't be in the coaching journey. This will be separate videos which will fall into our game model. So when I said we break it down, so when we're talking about movements, we've broke it down into 15 individual movements, which has stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. Stage 1 is around 3 movements. If you can picture that you're working with a young player, maybe in the foundation stage or grassroots, then for us, just start off with 3 movements to win the space or to manipulate your marker. Again, you've seen me do sessions and you've seen the other coaches do sessions and speak about this. We do start off with stage 1 in pre-season, or even go back to stage 1. And I feel that this is just the basic type of movement, but you can go into so much detail just around the 3 movements and then adapt it. You know, if we were talking about like receiving, we have 16 ways of receiving, which are linked with the movements. And then same with the releasing, and then we've got the same with the scanning. And like I said, one of the other coaches is going to start to do some talkovers around the scanning and give you a bit of an insight into that. So if I was to click on here, so the 15 movements, just to give you an idea. So you've got the 15 individual movements, which are brought down into stages 1, 2, and 3. So stage 1 are single movements, stage 2 are double movements, and stage 3 are triple movements. Anything more than triple movements, it's a recycle. It goes back into the single movements. Again, this is just something that we've watched for many, many years now, and just watched specific movements on what it looks like to us. And it just get really complicated if we started talking about 4 movements and 5 movements. And to be fair, all the clips that we've done over the years, we just see a single, double, or triple movement, and then it sort of recycles back round. So just focusing on the single movements, you've got the hold and beyond, hold and beside, and the hold below. And you'll heard us talk this language a lot: beyond, beside, below. Now, the other movements are just these linked together. So as you can see here, below to go beyond. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Now, this isn't stuff that that is set up from the club that we work at. These are things that us as coaches who have worked together for many years have put together, but we do use some of this language at the club, or we use this performance model but use the language of the club. But when we're presenting to you, we're using our stuff. Okay, now this is just a little model of what the movement looks like. So obviously beyond is going towards a goal, but that can be an angled or vertical. Yeah, then you've got your beside, which is your horizontal movement, and then you've got the below. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Now, for each one of these, we broke it down again into like an animation, and then into like a training clip and an individual clip. This is just one practice that we use. I might have used it before and gone through it with you in the coaching journey somewhere. This is what we call like a stage 1 session. You could develop this any way you want. In the video session, you'll see it slightly different. And all it is just encouraging the player to get used to holding and then going beyond. Now, when we're saying holding, that means they can still take a step to manipulate the defender to then win the space. It's not actually a movement, it's just a step to try then get the defender to step on the front foot, freeze, and then that gives you that second then to go win the back of them. So if you was looking at a session, so slightly different session setup from what you've just seen, 20 by 20, 1v1, broke up into 4 boxes. And then if you watch the attacker here, slight step forward to get the defender to step below to move beyond. And then you're also working the detail of the pass, punch passing. So that sort of falls into some of our releasing skills. Now, this is a session set up around movement, but in there, you're still working your performance wheel. So they're still scanning, they're still moving, they're still receiving, they're still releasing. But actually the main focus is the movements for this session. Again, just working the movement, win the space beyond, and then a clean pass, working left and right. Now this could be a pass into this box, so it's more of an angle, not a problem. But it just gives you an idea of what we're going after. So for our model, we've brought down everything, and we're hoping to share quite a bit of it with you. If this is something that you're interested in, then just make sure that you leave your comments below, make sure you like and you share. You know, we want everybody to have a look at this, and we're trying to ultimately just sort of improve coaches and improve the players in the future. You know, we're not here to hide anything. We just want to share with you with our experiences. We're not saying this is the way to do it either. This is just our methods and what we like doing, and what we've seen being successful over our period of time. So again, get your comments in there. Leave your likes. If there's any questions as well around it, anything that you don't understand, just make sure that you send us a message via any of the social media platforms or an email, or just leave the comment below. So that draws us to the end. That actually went quite quick. I hope you've enjoyed this one. It's going to be even better next week because we're going to be reviewing the 2 games, and then we've got another 2-game week. So we've got the second leg against Manchester City, moving into Blackburn, which are a very, very good side at this age group. And then we've combined that with 2 sessions in there as well. It's going to be very similar to last week. So there's some stuff that we need to tweak to go into the second leg against Man City, but also keeping one eye on the game on the Saturday against Blackburn Rovers. If there's anything else that you want us to maybe cover a little bit over the next couple of weeks, because we're coming to the end of this season, then make sure that you let us know. If you've liked the video, make sure you press that like button. It's free, and it's just there at the bottom of the video. If you haven't subscribed yet, because there's still 40% of people who are watching the videos and not subscribed, press that subscribe button. And if you haven't turned them notifications on, make sure you turn them on so you don't miss next week's video. Obviously, throughout the week as well, we're posting sessions, and we'll obviously start to drip feed some of the individual model stuff on there as well around scanning and moving. Thank you again for listening and for all your support, and we'll see you next week.